Morning. Let's do a walkthrough today on a 2027 New Air 3543 floor plan. Go ahead and come up front here. We'll get started over here on the driver's side console. All right, here on the driver's side console, you have the air leveling touchpad. To wake it up, just press on it and hold for a little bit. The system will wake up. You have your main power button, your standby. It'll display if there's any faults in the system, but from the home screen, this is the home screen, you can set it for travel mode, or you can set it for leveling mode. If you go to leveling mode, you have the choice of doing auto level, which you just touch the button there and go into the auto leveling screen, or you can touch the manual mode and you can raise and lower the airbags. And then you have a level indicator here, both front and back and side to side level indicators. You can also raise all of them or lower all of them. In the More button, you can set up your touch time. You can set up your color if you want to change the color and select a different wallpaper. You can change the backlighting brightness, and you can also get into the system and find out info and do the setups. This will give you all the model and serial numbers. You just want to make sure that when you go to travel, that this is in the travel mode, and it will actually say travel right here in this square when you are in the travel mode. We'll move over now to the HWH jack controls.
The touchpad for the leveling. The leveling is what you want to do when you park your coach. The way to turn this touchpad on is to activate the start-stop key switch, and that will give the touchpad power to operate. So once you see the travel mode come on, you will make sure that if you're going to level, you want to make sure to run your slide rooms out first and then level second. So our slide rooms, we've run out, and we run those slide rooms out while we are on our air. So make sure the coach is aired up, run the slide rooms out, and then we level. So you can see here, we're now in the travel mode. And to level, we can do it in two separate ways. The easiest way to level the coach is go into the auto level here. So you press the auto level button. You'll hear the air going out of the airbags. Coach will slightly drop down, and then you'll be able to hear the jacks extending towards the ground, and then that will level the coach. It takes a couple of minutes to go through the process. You can hear the pump start it up, and as the jacks go down, you'll notice the red LED light comes on, and that's indicating that that jack over in this corner is going down. Now you see the other one in the rear, that one's going down, and all of the jacks will go down, touch the ground, and continue to level the coach. Once it's level, you'll see all the red lights are on, indicating that all the jacks are deploying or started to deploy. You can hear the warning for the jacks. As long as you leave the touchpad on, you'll hear that warning, and that warning is telling you that you don't want to move the coach. So once the coach is level, you'll notice that none of the other lights are on, and the jacks are no longer deploying because the pump is off. So we have leveled the coach. So now we can turn the key off, and then our warning light goes off. You can do the reverse of that to retract. So we would just turn our key back on, and if you hit auto store, then you see that LED light is flashing for the auto store. Now all of our jacks will come up and retract. When each jack is fully retracted, the red light will go out for that jack. So these are now retracted, and the rear ones will follow. And once we are fully retracted on all the jacks, the red lights are out, then we can turn off the key here. So you can see now we are back in travel mode. So we're now in travel mode. We are finished auto storing, and it's time to air the coach up. So why do we want to air the coach up now is because before we run the slide rooms back in or retract the slide rooms, we want to have the airbags fully inflated, and then we run the slide rooms in, and then we'll be ready to travel. So to do that, we just press the brake, press the key a second time, coach starts, and now the coach is airing up. You can see here on the dash, we've got the front and rear labeled F and R in the center, and as the engine runs, the compressor in the engine will air up the airbags in the front and the rear, and you can see the orange needle traveling over to the right on both. And once it's aired up, then of course you would run or retract your slide rooms in, and then you'd be able to drive your coach. So we'll wait a second, and both of these orange needles should be the same on the front and rear. To get a better view of that, I can press my foot on this pedal down here in the corner, and I can move the steering wheel down a little bit so you can have a better view. This, of course, is a glass dash, and all the gauges starting from the left to the right here, you've got your fuel, your engine temperature, engine oil pressure, and then of course we're looking at our air in the front and the rear, and our DEF. This of course is our tachometer, speedometer, and this is our home screen in the center here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But to view the different settings in the home screen, that's all done right here on the right side of the wheel. You can see now both of the needles for the air have stopped moving, and our coach is fully aired up. So now we would be able to run the slide rooms in and be able to travel with the coach. So we'll turn the coach off, and we'll come back over here, and we'll move forward to the next control. When our coach is aired up and we're ready to travel, all the slide rooms are in, and any satellite or other awnings have been retracted, then we'll be able to release the parking brake by pushing it in. Once we push that in, then we come over here and we can select either drive or reverse. Obviously the center is neutral. You want to leave the coach in neutral when you come to park. Put it in neutral and then pull out on the parking brake whenever you come to a stop. So D is drive. You'll automatically see the gear that you're in displayed here, and you'll be able to select different modes and see in the small window here, LED window, what gear, or if there are any codes that you need to look at as far as temperature and levels of oil. Just in front of your gear pad for your engine and transmission, you've got your mirror. The mirrors left and right. So when you're adjusting the left mirror on the driver's side, you can go left, right, up, and down. In the center is neither mirror, so you can touch it and nothing will happen to either mirror. To the right then is adjusting the mirror on the passenger side, up and down, left and right. Just to the left of that is the mirror heat. So if we turn that on and it illuminates red, that means the heater is on the mirror. And of course that will melt any moisture or frost off the mirror, and that will give you better visibility. You don't need that on a nice day or when there's no moisture on it. You can leave it off. Again, leave this selector left and right in the center. If you've made your adjustments, leave it in the center. That way, if you touch it by accident, it won't move the mirror. Just in the front of that, you've got your window for the driver window here. And then you've got your ATC override here. And you've got your engine brake here. So if you're using or wanting to use your engine brake, this is the switch to turn it on, and this is to turn it off. The ATC override is on just momentary here. You can see it, the light comes on here. And then hit it again and it goes off. You got your cup holders here. Just in front of that, you've got your bright and dim for your headlights. So if we turn those on, we can control the dim or brightness of all the switches here. We've got our house battery boost right here. What this switch will do is if your batteries are a little bit low, either on the house or on the chassis side, you can use the other bank to help boost those house batteries, or you can use the house batteries to boost the chassis just by pressing down or up. And that's something you will want to use if the coach won't start. Obviously, you want to hold that down for 60 seconds. That connects the charge bridge solenoid, so both battery banks engage, and then you'll be able to start your coach. Now, obviously, if the batteries on one or both of these are too low, you'll have to charge both banks of batteries. But in most cases, you'll be able to toggle this towards the side that you want to boost, and you'll be able to engage the other set of batteries so you can continue on. You've got your dome light here. This is the high beams auto, so you can turn this on, and then instead of having to turn your high beams to bright or dim, this automatically will dim them when oncoming traffic is close by. This panel here is the charger for your phone. So you can just lay your phone here and it will charge. This is, of course, for your parking lights. This is for your headlights on and off. And this one is for your fog lights. We talked a little bit about this. This is our parking brake. We want to make sure to pull this. It applies the air brakes for the chassis. And then when we want to travel, then we push it forward to travel, pull to engage. Just to the right of that, you've got your louvers for air. And then we talked a little bit about the glass dash over here, and we'll go into a little more detail now. So looking at the center is where you'd want to go to your home screen. So you can scroll up and down. If I scroll this arrow up, you can see I'm moving to a different selection. So here I've got my brightness, I've got my messages, I've got my settings here, and anytime that I choose one of those, then I can press the OK button, and then that takes me to the next window because I've selected that setting. So now that I've selected settings, I can scroll up and down to units, sound, TPMS, tire pressure monitoring. And once I've selected that, for instance, if I select units, I can press OK, and now I can select which unit I want to change or adjust. Speed and distance, for instance, I could select that by pressing OK again. Right now, it's set to kilometers. So since I'm in the US, I would want to select miles. So I go up here to miles and press OK. So then now I've selected this speedometer to read out in miles per hour. So that's basically how you do it. You scroll up and down after you select house, and you choose, let's say for information, for instance, press OK, and then now I can scroll up and down and I can view transmission temp, engine torque, exhaust temp, and different things in any one of these categories. So just make your selection, press OK, and then once you're in the window, you can go up and down to select and make changes. You can see there's another window just below that. That is for your lane mitigation and braking. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we go outside. Okay, we showed you a little bit earlier, there's a small pedal here on the left, and what that is it's our adjustment pedal for the wheel telescoping and tilt. So if I press that down, now I can tilt the wheel. I can also pull it or telescope it in or out and make the adjustments I want, for while I'm driving, or if I just want to completely push it forward to get out of the way, then I just release, and now it's locked into place. So press down, unlocks it, release, and that locks the wheel back in place. So coming over here to the just to the right side of the glass dash, you'll see two screens here, and this is our camera viewing and control. So this is integrated into an Excite core, a radio core, and those adjustments for the radio can be made here in the center for your volume and source for tuning your radio and volume up and down. In addition to that, you can adjust your lights, and you can intermittently turn them on or off here, or you can X out the volume completely here. The other control on the wheel obviously is the horn. Here on the left side here, we've got our wiper, wash, and off. We also have our telephone. If we want to make a phone call, we can press the green button. Hang up is the red. Just a quick note on making the telephone call. You'll have to have your telephone Bluetoothed to the radio core, the Excite core, in order for this function to work. There's the high-low adjustment for your wipers here. If you press it once, it'll go high, press it again, it goes low. And intermittent, however we adjust the intermittent delay, in other words, if I turn it on intermittent and I press the intermittent button again, there's that amount of delay. So if I wait 10 seconds and press it again, then it's going to delay 10 seconds. If I wait only 5 seconds, then you're going to have a shorter 5-second delay. So as you press it a second time, that sets the amount of delay. So just to the left side of our left instrument cluster on the wheel, there's obviously our turn signal displayed on the dash left and right. And whenever you make that selection or turn, the camera will display on that side of the coach. So this is our left turn displaying the left camera towards the rear. And we go right, and the right camera comes on and shows what's behind the coach on the right side. There's also the cruise control button here. So I can set my cruise here, turn it on and off, and then I would press the set button here in the center, and that will set my cruise. There is another control just to the inside back of that. If I pull the chrome steel handle out, my emergency flashers come on, front and rear coach. If I want to turn them off, just hit the turn signal either way, and that turns the emergency flashers off. Moving over to the center instrument cluster, we've got our dash radio and camera. The screens are actually split when you're viewing them separately, and we're going to go through the menu so you know how to navigate through these screens. So starting at the top here, you can see that we have selected the radio. So in order to make a selection, you start with menu, press menu, and then you would select radio here, and the radio screen appears. Now you can make your selections for the radio, whether that's bands or tuning. Our favorites are set down here. We can still have the radio and do the tuning while we're viewing our cameras on the right. Going back to the menu, my next selection over would be our media center. Our Sirius XM, our Bluetooth. Now, to make a telephone call using the Bluetooth or to play music on your phone or iPad or other smart device, you have to pair your phone like this. You have to press the phone icon and then have that device turn the Bluetooth on. Once you pair your smart device or your phone and turn your Bluetooth on that device, you'll be able to make telephone calls from your steering cluster here on the left. The HDMI and the auxiliary plugs are over on the left-hand side on the lower cluster here. If we plug those in, then we'll be able to see that we are connected to the radio here. Our camera control can either be touched here at the shortcut, and we are going straight to that screen, or if we're in the menu, instead of using the shortcut, you can use the camera selection.
All right, new for 27 is the ability to record video, like what's happening around the coach. So you can go to the camera screen, and as long as the SD card's in there, you can record. If there's no SD card in the system, you will get this indicator right here that says SD with the X. Once there's an SD card in there and it's operational, you'll be able to hit the record. It will record your amount of time that you want to record. that will be able to be found in the list here, and that will be under event. Then you also have the driving, and that is going to record all the time on a continuous loop. It's going to store about 9 days worth of video on the system for you, and then it's going to write over the oldest videos first. So if you do have an incident or you need to investigate something that happened around your coach, you've got about 9 days to get that video from this list here under the driving. And that SD card is housed in the HDMMC controller in the basement, and it can be removed, and those can be viewed on a computer as well.
Our next icon over is our iPod, and then navigation. Whenever we get to the navigation screen, we have to accept the terms before we can go into that screen, so we have to press accept. We are inside a building, so it's going to be looking for the GPS signal. If we're outside, obviously that'll pick up. Once we get into the navigation screen, then we can go into a more detailed selection of routes and useful information as we scroll over with the left or right arrows. And then our Mobileye. Our Mobileye appears on the glass dash. So once we make the selection for our Mobileye, if our ignition is turned on, we're going to be able to see the Mobileye lane and the lane change warning icon here, which tells you if you're drifting out of your lane. And then our setup screen. And we can go into systems, video, or audio and set those up. There's currently no paired device, but we can pair our phone. There is a favorites button. The favorites button is what you decide you want to be your favorite. You can set your favorite. In this case, it's set to the Sirius XM. Just below the touch screen, we have our visor up and down, and our shade up and down, our docking lights, overhead fans. The overhead fans are here at the windshield. If we turn those on, we can select high, medium, or low, and that will help move air in the cockpit area and defrost the windshield. There's another one that's labeled fan, and this one is for the lower fan. This one is for the lower fan heat. If we have our ITR Oasis hydronic furnace turned on, then we'll be able to make a selection here for low, and then we'll have heat blowing out of here once the hydronic furnace heats up. In the center is off, and then the fan would be a high blower setting here, and it will blow heat out in the cockpit area only. The next one over is the generator. To start the generator, just press. You can see that it's flashing, meaning it's priming and preheating. And that's a diesel generator. That's why it needs to prime and preheat. Once it's preheated and primed, it will start. Once it starts, we can turn it off just by pressing towards the bottom or the word stop. Our entrance lock is for the entrance door to lock and unlock the entrance door, and to switch from street horn here to air horn is just turning the air horn towards the upper position, and then our air horn would work. Our courtesy lights and our visor. Below that, we have our selection for HVAC here in the cockpit area. If our ignition is turned on and our engine's running, we'll be able to have heating or cooling. To select the cooling side for air conditioning, we would press the snowflake button. Once we press the snowflake button, there's a small LED that lights up, a blue one, that tells you that your air conditioning system is on. And then you will want to select towards the left, or the blue, which is cool or cold. If we press the button on the top, that's recirculating. That recirculates the air in the cockpit. If we want to have fresh air coming in, we can turn the recirculation off, and that allows a certain amount of fresh air to come in. We can leave our cooling on at the same time if we'd like. And if we're defrosting, we'd want to move this over towards the right for heat, and then make a selection towards defrost here, or down lower, or in the mid area here for the vents in the middle part of the dash. When we're done operating that HVAC system, we can just go to the 0, and that turns it off. Below that, we have additional storage drawers here. When you first enter the coach here at the entrance door, in the stepwell area to your right, there's a switch that's labeled all lights off and all lights on. These are the ceiling lights. So if we press that down, our ceiling lights will go out, and then if we press it up, they'll turn back on. So if you're exiting the coach, you can turn them all off, and then when you come back, you can turn them all on. When you first come in the entrance on your left, if you look near the floor, is your fire extinguisher. It has a quick release. It's a black release. If you push that down, you'll be able to remove the fire extinguisher, pull the pin, and press the trigger. Above that is a storage compartment and a charging port here for USB and USB-C.
Located here on the passenger console, you have your battery disconnect switch. You have your cargo locks and your patio light switch, which also turns on the stepwell. Right above that, you have your RGB controller. This is the one that I told you the switch in the overhead cabinet has to be turned on. That says exterior LEDs. Then this switch can be pushed and held. It'll come on. You can use the knob to turn for different settings. You do it once and it's about the color of the lights underneath the coach. You do it again and it's about the speed of the fade. You can fade the colors in and out. And and then I believe you push and hold it again for a while to turn it off.
Above that is your cup holder, your map lights, your visor shade, which is behind our nightshade, and the step cover. Where I'm standing now, I can extend an additional step over so I can be at the same height as the regular floor. To do that, I move to the floor level and press the step cover. It will extend and lift. And then I can release the button once it's locked into place. And now I can stand at the floor level, which makes it nice when you're traveling or when you've come to a stop and you are wanting to use the floor space. To store it back is the same switch in the opposite direction or towards the rear. Drops the step and stows it away. Just hold it until it shuts off and then release. Just behind these switches is our phone charger for our cell phone. Just lay your phone here to charge it. And above that is your buddy screen. This buddy screen mimics everything that our main screen does at the radio. It does need to be turned on, and then you can make the selections for navigation and camera. To move this in a position where you would use it, you would loosen the knob and then rotate it around where you like and then tighten it. Then turn it on and select navigation or camera. When you're finished, just turn it off. Loosen the knob and rotate it back in the stowaway position and tighten it. Okay, so we're going to look here at the seat controls. They're electric. The first control in the back is for the heat. There is a high and a low for the seat heat here where I'm sitting. There's a lumbar support. There is the seat back for tilt, forward and back. And then our footrest here. We can operate the footrest in the passenger seat whenever we'd like, but the footrest on the driver's side will only operate when you're parked and the parking brake is set. And this forward one is to move the seat forward and back, or the base can be tilted forward and back. There is an additional switch on my right-hand side which releases the seat so you can turn it into the living room area for another seat. So if I lift that up, I'll show you how that looks. We want to make sure our armrest is out of the way. And then we can rotate our seat all the way around and face the living room area. You can see here, this is the lever that you have to lift to release the seat to rotate. We can fold the armrests out of our way or back down. These armrests are self-adjusting to the level position. As we move our seat back or forward, they will self-adjust to stay in the level position. When we're finished with the chair towards the living room position, let's say we're ready to travel again, we can just rotate to the front. We want to make sure to go in the same direction, the opposite direction of which we came. We don't want to go the opposite way around. Just come back this way and you'll hear the seat click and it will lock back into position. And then we can fold the armrests back anytime we like. And the driver's seat is the same way. It's just that the footrest will only operate when you're parked with the parking brake on.
Okay, starting with the cabinets up here in the overhead. These two cabinets here are just some storage. This cabinet here contains the Wi-Fi Ranger and the Starlink, along with the video controller over on that sidewall. And there is a switch back here in the back side at the top that says video. It's hard to see. It's right just above that shelf there. But if you can turn that video switch on and off, and that will enable or disable the video capabilities in the Newmar Connected Solutions app. You also have a plate up here at the top, and that would be for satellite prep, conduit, and wiring. Over here in the overhead control panel, you have the switch here for the Gerard awnings, and you can touch these, wake the system up. There is a lock and unlock buttons here. If they happen to get pressed and locked, you can unlock it just by holding it. And then this would be your lights on the awnings. looks like a light bulb. And then your channel plus and minus here selects the channels 0, 1, or 2. 0 would be both awnings operating at the same time. Channel 1 would be the front awning operating on its own. Channel 2 would be the rear awning operating on its own. So when you turn the lights on and off and operate the awning in or out, depending on what channel you're set on is going to depend on which awning or awnings you're operating. Next to that, you have the Winegard Razor antenna controller, and right up at the top left you have the on-off switch. This one will come on, look for channels. It'll give you a readout. You can also manually do another search here. By pressing that, it'll go through another search. We're inside a building today, so the search isn't going to come back very well. And then also you can manually fine-tune adjust the antenna right or left here by the arrows. This controller needs to be on if you're going to watch over the air channels on your TVs, and you'll have to program your TVs at each time you go to a different location. If you're going to have park cable at the site that you're hooked up at, you need to have this turned off, and you'll need to program your TV, each TV, for the cable channels when you go to each different park. And next to that, we have the Victron inverter controller, and you can touch it to wake it up. It'll tell you what's going on. If you're plugged in, should be charging. Like right now it's telling us we're in a float charge, and it's telling us, you know, what's being used and what's being charged. You can also go to the menu here. You can also look through your battery status and see what's happening with your smart controller if you have the larger solar panels hooked up. If those were a factory installed option, you can get those as well. And then you can look at different pages here. Go back to the menu and go into settings. This is all set up for you from the factory to operate on 50 amp service or default to 30 amp service. Moving on down here to the switches, optional satellite switch. This particular coach did not get ordered with satellite. You have the Wi-Fi router switch. Turn the Wi-Fi router on and off. Exterior entrance step. This switch will let you turn the override on so that the step will stay out when you're at a campsite and not go in and out every time you open or close the door. Exterior LEDs. This switch needs to be on for the exterior LEDs to work. There's another switch that we'll be talking about over here on the passenger side console shortly, called the RGB switch. This switch needs to be turned on to enable that switch to work. You have your driver side and passenger side slide out, just in and out switches. Those do need to be held the whole time the slide out is being extended or retracted, so they're not a one-touch switch. Door awnings, this coach did not get ordered with door awnings, so they're just blank switches. Privacy drape switches. These are the night shades for the windshield area. So driver's side cockpit, passenger side cockpit, windows, and the entry door drapes. Just keep in mind, if the ignition switch is on, they will only come down about halfway, and if the ignition switch is turned off, they'll lower themselves all the way down as long as you hold the switch. Security light switches, self-explanatory, driver side and passenger side. They're just momentary contact switches, so you can turn them on and off. And then you have your BMS power on and off switch here. This switch just mirrors the one that's actually on the BMS itself down in the basement. Just a more convenient location to be able to turn it on and off. If this switch goes off on its own, you need to look at your user interface at the center of the coach and see what the status of your batteries are. If your batteries have gotten down to the 10% area, it will automatically turn off. And that's a safety, so you don't drain the batteries completely all the way down. If that happens, you need to get the coach charging. You do that by either starting the generator or plugging the unit into shore power and charging the battery bank. It will allow you to turn it on for your last 10%, but really important, if you do that, you need to get a charge going on the system. Moving out of that cabinet, over to the right, you just have some more storage area. And then over to the above the door, you have the AC plugs here for your Girard awning controllers. And the Girard awning controllers are located here. In the event that your remote or your overhead switch up here in the cabinet that we looked at a minute ago for your Girard awnings doesn't work, there are switches right here on the side of this controller, in, out, and stop. They can be operated right from here as long as there's AC power to the awnings. These lights here will indicate that you have power. While we're talking about that, anytime you have your awnings out, you really need to have the coach either plugged into shore power, the generator running, or the inverter turned on where you're supplying shore power or inverted power to these controls, because the automatic shake sensors will not operate if they're not powered up with 120 volts. And next to that, you have the shade controller and some controls for dry contacts for those.
At the front of every Newmar coach is a smoke detector. This can be removed by turning counterclockwise and removed. We can check the battery here. We can test it by pressing this button and get the sound to make sure that it's operational. If it's not, replace the battery and then reinstall and turn clockwise to lock.
To use the pet gate here, there's a couple of buttons here at the top. You can push them in and pull them up and twist them. That will unlock the gate. You can pull the gate across here behind the chairs and latch them into the hooks here at at the top and bottom, and then you'll have your pet gate in place. To retract it, just simply unhook them. From there, it will retract itself over here to the side, and if you want to lock it again so that it can't open, you just twist these back down and it'll put it in the lock position. Here at the dinette, under the seats you have extra storage. Each one has a pull out underneath it. Here at the dinette table, you can extend the table by grabbing a bolt here and pulling out on the table until it's fully extended. You can lower down the table leg that supports the extension. You can get your extension leaves, either one or two. Simply pick up a little bit on the table here and push it all together. Make sure you have this extra leg down, and then you'll be able to use your folding dinette chairs along with the dinette seating to take it back to its normal size for travel. You want to push the table until it's fully extended again. Remove the leaves. Store them under the bed or in the closet. You want to lift up the center leg while it's fully extended. That leg has a magnet on it to hold it in place, and then you simply close the table all the way. Also here at the dinette, behind the dinette, we have the TV. The TV is installed on a TV lift that is most conveniently controlled from at the theater seating, where the 5-inch touchscreen is. It can also be controlled from other screens as well, but that's the most convenient one since you're setting usually at the theater seat when you want to operate the TV. The TV is a Samsung TV, and you can just use your remote to turn it on, and we'll cut in a video here to show you how to program for over-the-air and cable channels.
With our television turned on, we'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menu. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here, and now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air wine guard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels. Yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. "39 channels." So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the WineGuard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable, we've turned our over-the-air WineGuard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. And you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom.
Once you're done watching the TV and you get ready to travel, you want to make sure you lower that TV into the down or lowered position before travel. The windows behind the TV and to the side of the TV are non-vented windows, but they let a lot of light in when you desire that, or if you want to see beautiful scenery that you're parked around. So above, you have some storage space. Here in the center, you have your audio-visual cabinet. You have a couple of cables here that are marked Blu-ray and satellite. Those would go down to your TV that's on the left there. And then you also have a satellite coax connection back at the back of the TV, back at the back of the cabinet. Above, you have your Bose speaker, and this little device here is a transmitter to blast the signal into the cabinet if you have a DVD or Blu-ray player or any devices in there that need to get a signal blasted to it. Next to that, we just have some more storage space. Here at the dinette seat is a touch panel. These 5-inch touch panels are found throughout the coach, and they mirror what can be done on the 10-inch screen at the center of the coach. Things such as lights, climate, vent fans, floor heat, shades, TV lift, your tank monitoring, the exterior lights, and the power icons are all on there, and you can go through that whole menu just like we'll go through the menu on the 10-inch. Alright, here at the theater seating, you have your cup holder here, and on the cup holder you have a button with a light icon. Allows you to turn the LED lights on and off on the cup holder, as well as extend the footrest and recline the seat, and then the one beside it would be to retract the seat and lower the footrest. On the theater seat, you have an additional control here, and these two switches here control the headrest, tilt, and then you also have a USB charger here in the center. Right beside it is the 5-inch touchscreen that we talked about a little bit ago. We were looking at the TV lift. So the most convenient place for you to operate the TV lift, although it can be done from other switches, is right here on this side. Touch the home screen and the TV lift screen, and then choose the up or down arrows. Here at the center of the seat, you have a armrest with a storage area underneath. And then in the overhead cabinets above, you have storage. All the way across. Once again, the windows in this area are fixed. Let a lot of light in, but don't open for venting or anything. Behind the theater seating, you have a 120 volt outlet over here at the side, and on this side as well. This one contains USB and USB-C chargers in the center of the outlet as well. Here beside the theater seating, you have your fireplace, operated conveniently off a remote control here. Power on-off switch, as well as you can set the heat and select the flame intensity and the color of the ember bed right off of this remote. That does operate off 120 volts. You need to either be plugged in or on shore power, or have your generator running, or your inverter going. Underneath it, you have a storage cabinet, and then underneath that is two vented areas. One is for the intake and one is for the output of the heat from the Oasis heating system. And then underneath that, you have your port to sweep in debris for the central vac system. And for that to work, you just need to lift this up, and it will turn the system on. You can sweep your debris in there, and then you can close the door when you're finished. There's also a port that you can attach the hose and attachments to for the central vac, and that should be right around the corner. Above the fireplace, got a couple of doors with some storage. Then around to the side here is where we have the other port for the central vac hose to hook up to.
With your coach, you have your inner vac accessory bag, and inside the bag are all the accessories, so you can attach that at this location here. And inside you'll find your hose end and your handle where you attach your accessories. So to get started, you just plug it in, and then all you need to do to turn it on and off is just press this button here. If you need help or instructions on how to change the battery in here or how to operate the device, just scan the QR code and you'll get more information online how to use the complete system. If you're going to use the inner vac manually, you can sweep any material here and then just lift this up and you can sweep it in here. When you're done, you just pull the hose out and store it away. But be careful that when you store the hose back in the bag, that you don't leave something that might press up against here that would turn it on.
Here in the kitchen living room overhead, we have the sealing feature, and I'll show you how to use this tool to open the access panel so that you can clean your AC filters. So somewhere around the 4th or 5th louver, just put it in here, twist it, and pull down. This is held up by magnets, a series of magnets around it. And so there's a panel here, and there's a panel forward of this one. There's also a panel like this in the bedroom. Each of them need to be pulled down, and the filters need to be cleaned. These would be the intake filters going to the air conditioners themselves. And so this side is discharge air, and this side would be filters. So to clean those filters, you would just simply grab a hold of this near the center and pull down on it and remove the filter off of the top, clean it, let it air dry. You can wash it in warm soapy water, put it back on there. You push this back up in and push right on the center once you have it lined up, and it'll snap back in place. You want to clean each of those filters for all the AC units. The frequency of when you clean those is going to depend on the quality of air that you're sucking into your AC system. So the dirtier, dustier environments, you might have to do that weekly. If you're in really clean environments, you might be able to do it every month. Going into the kitchen area here, overhead cabinets, we have storage. We have a drawer that slides out here. Here's your chassis operator's manual. All the information for your chassis is included in that packet from Freightliner. This system has the Starlink and the Wi-Fi Ranger system. So the Starlink router is an extra router that we do not install because we use the Wi-Fi Ranger router in this situation. In a coach that just had the Starlink system ordered and not the Wi-Fi Ranger, that a router would be installed and wouldn't be an extra. Over here on this side, this coach came ordered with the dog bowls, pet bowls. So you have a couple of pet bowls along with pet gate up in the front that we went across. There's also extra stickers located in this area giving you information, as well as there's a sticker here that tells you what the paint codes are for this particular coach. This is just a blank panel on this particular floor plan, so it does not open. And then you have your Samsung microwave underneath it there. We do install an extra latch to help it stay closed when you're traveling. And then your menu and clock is over here on the right hand side for operation of the Samsung microwave. This is also a smart microwave. You can scan the QR codes and get the app on your phone for smart things. Underneath, we have the cooktop. If you take the covers off and turn them over, they're cutting boards. And the cooktop, you have your power switches here. You can turn it on and do your settings here for what kind of temperature you want. This cooktop will not come on unless you have a piece of cookware on it that is compatible with the induction cooktop, and it gives you a little bit of information right here on this sticker about the cookware type that you need, but it needs to have a metal core in it. Once that cooktop is placed there, you can go through the full menu here, and the stove will come on. If you do not have cookware there on it, it will turn itself off automatically. This cooktop can also be removed from its location here. You can unplug it, take it outside if you wanted to cook on a picnic table or something like that via extension cord. And then when you want to put it back in the coach, you just simply plug it in and put it back in the spot here. The covers have a rounded edge on them and a square edge. The square edge goes towards the center. The rounded edge goes out here towards the side. They will not fit if you put them in opposite. You do want to make sure that that cooktop is cooled off before you put these in place. And those can also be taken off and stored underneath the kitchen sink. Moving over here to the sink area, you have another top that can be removed, access the sink. You have your faucet here. You can turn it on and off here with this lever and adjust the temperature up or down. And then you can also pull this out and select the spray or a solid stream setting. Retracts back up in there. Once again, this top can be stored underneath the sink if you wish. Put back in place there to make it whole. Countertop cover. Here at the under the sink, you got a little drawer for sponges and whatnot. Underneath the sink, you have the trash can on a drawer, as well as your area here to store your stove and kitchen sink covers. When it's shipped, we also have the black bag. Comes with every Newmar coach. In here you'll find your owner's manual for the coach, as well as a variety of plumbing, heating, exterior electrical, and appliance manuals in here. And there's several of them that have good information and a place to register for the warranty. Here in the center bank of drawers is just a bunch of storage. You can do what you want with. Underneath the range, when we ship the unit, it has all your remote controls in it for your awnings, TVs, fireplace if equipped, and all the accessories like that. Extra set of keys. wrenches for your whole house filter and your hubcap, and extra parts that come with things like optional dishwashers, things as well. There is also touch-up paint included with each vehicle. We have that tool to take down the covers for the air conditioner filters. We have a tool here for the jarred awning. In case of an emergency, the jarred awning was stuck, extended, and didn't have power, couldn't get power to it. There is a port on the top of each awning that can be taken off. This can be put down into that port and locked in, and then you can use a cordless drill to run this shaft, which will turn the awning in or out. Also have remotes for your bed if the unit was ordered with air mattress, and if the unit was ordered with a flagpole holder, you also have your flagpole bracket. Underneath the sink is the optional dishwasher, and this dishwasher can be opened, operated. The controls are right up here on the top of this front panel on the inside to lock the dish drawer for travel. You press and hold the button until you hear a beep. You shut the door and you will hear the locks engage. And you want to do that anytime that you go to travel. Once you've heard the locks engage, you can't pull the drawer open. And that's how you want it to test it each time before you go to travel, so that it doesn't open and crash into the wall or something around it while you're traveling. Here in the kitchen, we have the Samsung refrigerator. Down here in the center, we have a travel lock. As you can see right now, the doors and the freezer drawer is locked because this is pushed forward. To unlock it, push that towards the back of the coach. You can then open the doors as well as the freezer drawer itself. The refrigerator comes with a water filter that you can insert here in this area here, and once you have it all the way pushed in, you can twist it and lock it. I'm not going to do it because this coach is winterized right now. And there's also an authentication tag here as well that you can follow those instructions and do that as well. Over here on the right hand side, on the inside, is the refrigerator and freezer controls, as well as you can also scan the QR code right up here. It's a smart refrigerator as well. You can get the app on your phone or your tablet, and then you can also come in here and manually make the selections here. Press the center, and whatever you're going to change starts flashing. You can then set the temperature up or down in that area. Press it again, that sets that one. You do it again, it goes to the freezer. You can change the temperature in the freezer, or you can set that one, move on down to the dispenser, lock. You can turn it on and off. You can turn the ice maker on and off from here, and you can reset the water filter reminder from right here. Once you're done in the fridge, you can close it up. I think it's a good idea to use this left-hand door and make sure this flap is closed properly before you do the right-hand door. You can do either one. Just make sure that flap does close. You have your freezer here with the ice bin located there. Just a reminder, anytime that you go to travel, you got to make sure all 3 doors are closed all the way and the travel lock is pushed towards the front of the coach. And then you want to test each door to make sure it's latched prior to travel. Beside the refrigerator, you have a pantry. These are push to open drawers, so you have to push them in to unlatch them before you can open them. Because once they're in and latched, you can't just pull them out. You have to push them in first. These drawers are adjustable as far as the height goes, so you can put larger items in between if needed. And to do that, you would just simply open this all the way up, use the clips here on the side of the drawer guides and pull this drawer all the way out. One of them goes up and one of them goes down to get it to release. Once you get this here released, you slide these drawer guides out. You can see then that each drawer guide has a tab for these holes here, so you can take them out of the holes and move them up or down according to your personal preference. Once you go to put the drawer back in, just have those closed. Get your drawer back up here. Make sure that they're pushed in all the way. Line up the drawer guides and cycle them a couple of times to get them in the right position with the ball bearings, and then you can close the drawer and latch it. This particular coach has the optional wine cooler. This is a single door. It does have a travel latch down here at the bottom, so you can slide that down, open the door. The controls and power are right here. You can set the temperature right here off of this panel. Use the plus or minus buttons there, and then you can also control the lighting with the light button here as well. Once you're done in the wine cooler, you want to make sure that the door is closed and latched before travel.
So we're here at the hallway. This is your 10-inch control panel for all the systems in your coach. The screen has a dimming function here at the top right and a Bluetooth connectivity so that you can actually connect your smartphone or iPad via that Bluetooth connection, and then you can use your phone or your iPad or smart device and control your coach with the same type of controls that this screen does. So as long as you're connected with the Bluetooth, you can actually do everything that this panel does. So let's go to our home screen, starting at the left and the bottom. and we'll just go over this briefly for each of the selections you can make. From the home screen, you'll notice in the very center of the screen, you've got all zones are synced together at one temperature. So we can adjust the temperature in the coach just by pressing here for temperature up or temperature down. And we can select the upper left or left side here. We can look at our tanks, water pump, and each time that we press a selection for those icons, you'll notice there's a blue line that appears underneath. That means that it's turned on. The cargo entry master locks, these are all door locks here on the right hand side. And just above that are your lighting and shade controls. At our home screen, we can make some basic selections on our climate, which is in the center, or on the right, we can adjust our lighting or shades. But to do more of an individual setting, we would choose an icon on the bottom here, on the bottom row, and we can go into those rooms or climates individually. The home screen is just for making those quick adjustments and looking at our tanks and or our batteries. Shows our house and chassis batteries state of charge for our house because they're lithium batteries, and our chassis battery voltage. So starting at the bottom left, just beside the home screen, which we're on now, is we can go to climate. And you'll notice that the icon in the center appears the same. It looks the same, but it shows the temperature. And now we can go into each one of those rooms, living room, bathroom, or bedroom, and we can change the setting individually, or if we leave all zones synced, then we can make the temperature adjustment here up or down, and all of the rooms will be at close to the same temperature. You'll notice on the far left there is an icon for setup, so we can go into a more detailed setup for our climate. Enable climate here. You'll notice in the center, enable AGS. So if we enable our AGS, which is our automatic generator starter, that way if we have our temperature set for our air conditioner, we'll be able, our temperature will maintain if we're not plugged in because the generator will come on. But you have to enable the generator if you want your temperature to be maintained, let's say for air conditioning in the coach. Just to the right of that, you have your dual heat. And we have, if we go back to that climate screen, you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have our Oasis. The Oasis is our hydronic heat for water and air heat. You have to have the Oasis burner turned on. So if you press that, you'll notice the blue line comes on. That means the burner is turned on. And then it gives you a status on the right. Burner is active. In addition to the heat from the burner, you can select the element 1 and or 1 and 2 just below that. Just by pressing them, you'll see the blue icon come on or off as I press it. And on the right hand side of those, it gives you more information. That tells you if the element is shed. So if there's not enough power to run the element, for instance, you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp, you may notice it could say shed. Just below that, you've got your half bath heater. Inside the half bath, there's a blower for heat. We can turn that on and off as well. Moving to the shades, you've got your selection of room, living room, kitchen, bedroom, bath, or half bath, and then the day or night or all coach day and all coach night shades. Just beside that, you've got your fans. We can control the fans in each room, kitchen, bathroom, or half bath just by turning it on, and high, medium, low for each fan. If there's moisture in the air that might stop the fan from opening and coming on, you can press the rain override switch. If the rain override is on each one. So if you want the fan to come on and the lid to open, and it might be a real slight mist or rain outside, you can do that just by overriding the rain switch. Just to the right of that, we have our floor heat, front, middle, or rear. We can turn our power on first. Once we turn our power on, we show the icon that it's turned on, and then we can select low, medium, or high for each one of those areas. It doesn't set a temperature, but it gives you heat in a range of those settings. Our power icon is showing our power systems for alternating current or AC power on the left. And then on the right side, you've got your solar and generator. On the left side, you've got more detailed information on each leg coming in for 120 volt. And if our inverters are turned on, inverter 1 and 2, you'll have the blue icon that's lit up underneath. You want to leave your inverters turned on in case you lose shore power or generator. That way the food in your refrigerator will stay cool. On the right side, you've got your charger settings, 1 and 2. You want to leave your chargers on so that your batteries will be maintaining a good charge. The battery states of charge are on the very far right. The chassis voltage is given, and the house batteries, you don't get a voltage, you get a state of charge, and they're at 76%. The next icon over is systems. If you press that, you're going to see more detailed information coming in on leg 1 and leg 2 of your shore cord. It gives you the volts that are being supplied along with the amperages that are available. You'll notice that there is a blue line under everything that is operational or functional. If the blue line disappears, that means that that particular device, let's say for instance the AC, which is your rooftop air conditioner, if that blue line goes out and it's just a small white line, that means that it's been shed or it will not operate because there's not enough power. And you would typically see that when you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp supply cord, or if you're not running your generator. The next selection over is solar. If you have solar panels up on your roof, you're going to see the status and the voltages. The next one over is your generator. You can start your generator or stop your generator, and it gives you the demands that are being used. You can go into setup here, and if you need to set up your quiet time, you can do that for quiet time and the duration of hours. The chassis state of charge is showing on this screen as well. Our next screen over is the exterior. Our awnings. In the middle is your exterior lights and your door locks. Just by pressing any one of the awnings, you're going to open or close it. If you're going to operate your awnings, you should have someone outside to make sure that the awning is not going to open into something or close something and you don't want something to be in the way of it. Obviously, the exterior lights on off, or you can adjust the setting in the bar in the center. The door locks either on or off. The next icon over is your lighting. It gives you individual selection in each room, turning the lights on and off, or in the center, you can dim the lights with the bar in the center. Going into the bathroom, half bath, bedroom, or kitchen, you can go all on, all off, or just bathroom on, bathroom off. There is an AquaMizer setting here in the lighting control. The AquaMizer will go into more detail, and that's to save your fresh water. It actually recycles the water back into the fresh tank until it gets warm, and then you'll take your shower after that. The AquaMizer is an indicator light, and we'll talk more about that in detail when we get back to the shower.
So entering the bathroom here, we have a sliding pocket door. You can push down on the latch, close the door, it'll relatch in the closed position. To open it, push down on the lock again. Anytime you're traveling, you want to push it all the way back in until it latches for travel. Inside the bathroom, you have the vanity here, outlet below the vanity with a GFCI controls here in the center. If the GFI is tripped, it will be out like that. The red light will be on with power on the system. You just press the reset back in and the light will turn green. Underneath, you have some storage underneath the cabinet. You also have the plumbing that goes to your sink as well, and then behind it you have some storage as well. Just above, you have your Dometic toilet flush control panel, and you can either flush the toilet with this one, or you can add water to the bowl with this button. So you also have your power indicator here that's green, so that needs to be illuminated for the toilet to actually work. And then there's also another LED underneath there. If this LED underneath there is amber colored or orange, means your tank is at least 75% full and you need to think about dumping. If this turns red, it means that your tank is full and the toilet will be disabled until the tank is dumped. So once it turns red, you cannot flush this toilet. Above the sink here, you have the medicine cabinet. There's a pull underneath it there on the left-hand side to grab a hold of and pull it open. 120 volt outlet inside the cabinet. More storage to the left of it.
There is an emergency exit door to get out of the coach if you can't make it to the front or the front door is locked and you need to exit the coach. Here's your lock and unlock. So you unlock that, unlock here. This door will open so you can exit the coach. Now you'll notice here there's a panel with a grab handle. So if I pull this after I open this door, if I pull this off, there's magnets that hold that on. There's a ladder, and I can flip that open after I release this Velcro here. I'll be able to escape out of the coach just by these stairs going down. So now I can exit the coach in an emergency. If I just want to store those back. Emergency's over, lift those up, put the Velcro back, and then put my cover in place. I'll go outside to demonstrate that. Okay, to put the ladder back in place, so just grab a hold. It telescopes back in place, and just lift up, put it in place, and then get our Velcro across. Put our panel back, and our magnets will hold it in place. Then we can close the door again. We've closed the door to lock it because you can't open it from the outside. You want to lock it here and here. So now we're locked. The shades here are controlled here with our touch panel. They're electric power shades, so we can close and open those here.
The shower here, the door itself has a travel lock on it so that the glass doors can't slide around while it's in travel. So you want to, once you're done using the shower, you have your doors wiped off, you want to lock the travel lock back down so that the doors are stable. Inside the shower, you have a fold down seat, fold it up and store it that way when you don't want it down. This also has the AquaMizer system installed in it. So once you have your Oasis system on and it's up to temperature, you'll have hot water. But to get it to your shower and not waste water, you would turn this valve here to the recirculating marks here on the side. That would allow water to flow through it and back to the fresh tank and not waste the water, and it won't fill up your gray tank. Now, to see the actual indicator when you do this, you need to turn the switch on the panel here. This will light up underneath there. So let me turn that on. So to do that, we'll go to the home screen, we'll go to the lights section, and we'll go to the bathroom. Okay, once we're into the bathroom, you have the AquaMizer light right here. That will turn on the light in the shower. It will be blue when it's cold. And once we have this in the recirculation mode, once the hot water gets up to this faucet, it will turn red. At that point, we can take this and turn it from the recirculation mode to the shower mode. And then we simply adjust the temperature with this dial here, how hot or cold you want your shower. And then this selection will either make it come out of the overhead shower head or the wand here that you can take out and move around with you. The wand is also adjustable by loosening that and sliding this up or down and tightening it back into position. You can adjust that as well. Once you're done taking your shower and you don't need the AquaMizer light on anymore, you can come back over to the panel and simply turn it back off. Also in the bathroom is a fantastic fan that is also controlled off of the touch panel. In the bathroom, from the home screen, you go to the vent fans icon, and from there you can power the fan on and also select the speed, high, medium, or low. And in the event that the fan wouldn't come on due to moisture from the shower or from a previous rain that shut it, there is a rain override switch on the panel as well, and that can be pressed, and that will allow it to ignore moisture on the rain sensor. However, if you leave it open with that rain sensor disabled, in case a storm does come up and it's raining, it will not shut on its own. There's also an identical fan in the kitchen. It's just underneath the louvered panel. Anytime that this fan wouldn't work, you could check this fuse here. There's a fuse holder here. You just push up and twist slightly, and this fuse can be checked. And then if it needs to be replaced, you can replace it with it back in there. And there's also a handle right here on the side that it can manually be operated from as well. Anytime you're done with the fan, you can turn it off, the lid will close. You can also close it once again manually by turning that knob as well. Coming into the bedroom, you have another slider door. Latches the same way as the bathroom pocket door, and all the way open. It latches in the shut position. Anytime you're traveling, you want to travel with this door open and in the latch position. Here at the bed, overhead, there's a storage. There's a port here that comes through for wires or hoses from like a CPAP machine. And then in the center here of the overhead, there's a 120 volt outlet that a machine like that could be plugged into. Here at the windows here on the side of the bed, those are stationary windows, non-opening. The nightstands beside the bed, there's one on each side. There is storage on the bottom side. There's also right underneath the countertop here, there's an access so that you can get cords through to the outlet. There's an outlet in there with USB and USB-C chargers, so you can set your phone or any other device you need here and run the cords through it with the door still being closed, so it will charge. This particular coach was ordered with the air bed, so you can choose between the left and the right side, and then you can use the arrows to go up and down for the firmness that you like. You can also set a favorites on position 1 or 2, and when the pump comes on, you hear a slight noise underneath the bed when it's inflating. Also underneath the bed is a little bit of storage space. It's where we also ship the leaf extensions for the table. There are struts that hold that open. Yeah, open it as well. Over here to the back, the washer and dryer. Dryer is on the top. There is a lint filter here. Can be cleaned, put back in. Controls are right up here. They're pretty self-explanatory. You got your high-low temp button here, and you set your dry time, and you have your start button here. Washer machine is underneath. Once again, the dial is here to set the selection for how you want to wash. Power button is here, and you have your drawer here for your soap, softener, and bleach. This unit is winterized right now, and like when you take it out of storage, I'd recommend running a couple of wash cycles with no clothes in it to make sure that all the pink solution is rinsed out. We do have a note here for removing the outside drain cap before operating the washing machine. What this means is we want you to be hooked up to a sewer outlet, and we want you to open the gray tank valve so that while you're running your washing machine, that water is able to be flushed out of your gray tank instead of filling your gray tank and possibly overflowing your gray tank, causing it to come up into the shower. Turn that off, close the door. Beside it here we have the wardrobe. Slide the wardrobe open here. Have your overhead racks, some shoe storage. On this side over here we have the safe. Keys are attached to it. There's a code here, paperwork in the black bag about your safe and what the code is to get into the safe and how to reset your code. On this side, you'll find the electrical panel. Here you have your electrical panel in the rear wardrobe. These are your sub panels for inverter 1 and inverter 2. Anytime that these breakers are turned on, they're pushed to the up position. If they're off, they would be down. And if they're tripped, they would be somewhere in between off and on, about in this position. To reset them, you would push them all the way down to the off position and then back on. Here in the gray panel is all your other 120 volt breakers. You have your main breaker. That these breakers all need to be pushed towards the center to be on. There again, if they were tripped, you would pull them all the way to the off position and push them back to the on position. Those are labeled here on what they go to on the sides there. These sub panels are labeled underneath the breakers, what they go to. And then you have your floor heat GFI breaker right here. And the green light means it's good. Red light means it's tripped. You just reset it like I showed you how to reset the GFCI in the bathroom. You have some extra fuses here. And then you have 12 volt fuses here. The legend for them is on the sticker here. So if you had an issue with any of these here, you would just come in here and find out what number it is. Come over here, find the corresponding fuse. Pull that fuse, check it. If it was blown, you would find the same size fuse here in your extra fuses and put it in. And the one exception is this fuse right here. This fuse is a resettable one. If it's tripped, there'll be a piece sticking out here, and you just press it in to reset it. Here in the center is the ATC net. This is what connects you to the Newmar Connected Solutions app. And you just follow the instructions on your 10-inch panel to connect to that. Underneath the electrical panel, you have a door here that gets you to the valves for the washing machine, the hot and cold valves for the washing machine. Here in the bedroom dresser slide, in the overhead, this cabinet here will have your AV connections for this TV. And you have your outlets there, as well as your HDMI cable and your roof mount satellite coax there, and a repeater blaster in there as well, along with some storage. You have your TV. That TV is going to work the same way as the TV we explained in the dining room. Anytime that you go to a different location and you want to watch over the air or cable channels, you'll program this TV and the outside TV the same way you did the one in the dining room. This side here, you just have more storage. Underneath the window, you have 3 more storage drawers in the center section and 3 more storage drawers in the lower section. The shades are operated off of the control panel. I'm gonna go ahead and open this one up. There is 120 volt outlets in the side there that have USB and USB-C chargers in them as well. And I'm gonna go to the home here and go to the shades in the bedroom, and we'll go the dresser light shade here. Reason I'm going to open this one here and show you this one is this is an exit window. So in the event of an emergency, you can grab this red handle here, press that, and slide this open. Grab this bar right here and let the screen retract, and then you have a large window opening to exit the coach in the case of emergency if needed. When you're done with this window being open, you can simply close it back and rotate the latch back in place. That seals it back up. You'll notice that if I go to operate this again, it automatically grabbed the screen. So that screen's held on by a magnet. So you can also use this window for just ventilation instead of just an emergency exit button. So that 120 volt outlet with the USB and USB-C chargers is down on that side of the window. You have your slide out control for your bed slide. Simply press that to the in or out position. You have to hold it the whole time that the slide out is moving. And there's some warnings here to read before you operate that slide out. Underneath is another one of the 5-inch control panels. Once again, from the home screen, you can control lights, climate, vent fans, floor heat, shades, the TV lift, see your tank or your power situation, and also control exterior components. You can pretty much do the same thing on this panel as you can do on the larger 10-inch panel in the middle of the hallway. The overhead panel up here is one just like we explained in the front on how to access the vents for your air conditioner and clean them. Then right up here, you have a carbon monoxide detector in the bedroom, similar to the front one. As far as the way you test it, you push the button in here and test. You hear a series of tones to verify that the detector is working. Anytime that you need to change the battery in it, you can, on this one, instead of having an access door, you push in on the sides, kind of pinch it, and it releases the latches. And then the battery's right here. You can release the battery, change it out, close it back up, and retest it. All right, the last thing we're going to look at here in the bedroom is the engine access panel. And this wood panel here is clipped on. It can be removed. And then there's some bolts underneath there, as well as these black buttons here. Those can be removed out of the tile, and there's screws underneath there. Those screws underneath here and the ones underneath the wood panel there would need to be removed. Any wiring that would go to the cover, unplugged, that could be removed to gain access to the engine on this side if needed. And then just simply reverse that order to put it back in. You'd put the cover back in, plug the tile floor heat in, put your lags back in, and your plugs and your wood panel back on. We're going to look here on the Newmar on the outside at the front of the coach, but we're going to come in here and pull the handle here for the front hood release. And under the hood here, starting over here on this side, you got your air horn set in here, your street horn. Here's where you fill up your windshield washer fluid, right here at the front. Your hot water valve. You can connect a hose or a power washer or anything here to this port here. As long as the Oasis system is turned on and you have hot water, you'd have hot water to this faucet. There is a valve in the basement. We'll show you when we go around on our walkthrough that also turns this off in case you're in cold weather. You can turn off the water coming up to this faucet. There's also a drain right here for that hot water line. So once you turned it off in the basement area, you could open this up and drain the water out of that line to keep it from freezing. You have your filter here for the Oasis system. This would be your diesel fuel filter. Generator. You got your antifreeze and your oil fills here, as well as you have a manual start button here. So just like on the dash or anywhere else, when you go to start it, it goes into a preheat cycle first, and then it starts, and then to shut it off, you just turn the switch off momentarily. There's an hour meter here that shows you how many hours the generator has been operating for. And then there's also a breaker right here. Now this breaker is important because your generator will start and run, and you can have your generator running and still not have power into the coach. So you need to make sure that this breaker is not off or has tripped. You want to make sure it's in the on position to supply power to the transfer switch so that it can transfer the power into the coach. Breaker box. Above it here you have a light with a manual switch there, and then you have your HVAC system here. This particular HVAC system does have a filter for the intake air, so a cabin air filter, and a couple screws there remove the door here to get to that and replace it. Over here on this side you have your HWH leveling system pump. That pump and reservoir also operate the HWH slide outs. Anytime you want to check the fluid level on that, you need to have the jacks retracted and the slide out rooms extended so that you can check it right here with this cap. And you can do that by unscrewing it. There's a indicator on the on there that sticks down into the tank, and so you want to check that and fill it when, if needed, when the jacks are retracted and the slide outs are extended. That has the most fluid back into the reservoir. If you fill it with the jacks down or the rooms in and you fill it and then you go to operate things, it's probably going to overflow and come out of that tank and make a huge mess. To close the engine door, just push down until it latches. Here at the windshield we have your wipers and we have your mobile eye sensor and your automatic wiper rain sensor. Above, in the middle of the windshield at the top, is the front camera for the 360 view, as well as your front clearance lights. Headlights, turn signals, fog lights, all operated there off of the switch on the dash. And then your mirrors, there's a few adjustments on these mirrors. There's 3 Allen head screws here that can be loosened, and this whole mirror head can be twisted or tilted and tightened back down for the best setting for you. And then there's also, if you need to move this arm, there's a cover here that can be removed. There's a bolt in there. It's a 9/16 in size. It can be loosened, and then this whole arm can be moved. That would need to be tightened back down and the cover put back on if you move that arm. This is the flagpole bracket holder. Showed you the flagpole bracket in the kitchen cabinet when we were in there. It just simply slides down in here and sticks out to hold the flagpole.
So we're at the entrance door corner, and if we look at this corner behind the headlight, we see our side view camera. This camera can be selected to view, or if we turn the turn signal on for this lane, this camera will automatically come on and display whatever is in this lane. This is our entrance door. Above it is the door awning. The door awning can be operated from the overhead or the touch panel. At the touch panel, you'll have to select the outside and then awning for the door awning. The step right now is closed with the door. If I open the door, the step comes out. And when I close the door, the steps close. If I want to override that, I can go into the overhead above the driver's panel and turn it on. If I turn the entrance step on in the overhead, now when I close the door, the steps stay out. So that's a convenient way to get in and out of the coach without the steps always going or extending out and then retracting when the door closes. Another neat feature that Newmar has is you can close the door in 2 different ways, into the first latch or the second. Just by closing it softly into the first latch. If someone's inside and they're taking a nap, you'd want to close the door soft like that. That's going into the first latch. If you're traveling, though, you want to use a firm close so that the door is even with the trim. So now we're into the second latch. We can lock and unlock the door with the upper and the lower locks. The upper one is the deadbolt, and that's the larger or longer tri-mark key. Lock and unlock for the deadbolt. And then the smaller key is for the door handle here. Lock and unlock. We can also use the key fob. The door lock and unlock are right here at the top, so lock, unlock, and baggage door. Lock and unlock. If I don't have my key fob with me or my set of keys to lock or unlock the doors, I can use the door handle. When Newmar ships a brand new coach, the code is all the same, 123441, to unlock the bottom lock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1. That unlocks the door. To relock the door, just press the top lock button, and the door locks along with the baggage doors. If I want the door to unlock and the baggage doors to unlock at the same time, use the same code, 123442 instead of 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2 will unlock both, or two locks, the door and the baggage. You should reset this code away from the Newmar code when you are the owner of the coach. To do that, there's a small button on the left-hand side of the steering column that you press. Once you depress that button, come out here, and this handle will be beeping a series of tones. When you hear that, just enter your new 5-digit code twice, 2 times. The second time you enter it, that will lock the handle into your new code, and you'll be able to use that for the rest of the time until you want to change it again. Then you can press that same button on the side of the column and change it again. But you should do that for your safety. That way you can remember your own code and give it to only the people that you trust. If we open the door, we can lock and unlock the door from the inside. Of course, if you want to lock and unlock the deadbolt, you can do that here. Lock and unlock. We want to make sure that it's unlocked when we close. If we're exiting the coach and we just want to lock the handle lock, we just press down and close. Now the handle's locked. To unlock it, we can use the key, we can use the key fob or the door handle, and that will pull this handle up. I'll demonstrate. So if we use the unlock here, this will go up. We can do that same thing with the door handle by entering the code, or relock. The screen can be closed independent of the door. At the top of the screen door is a pull-down screen that latches here. Now I can just release it and close, and then close the slider. From the inside, when you press this handle down, it presses this down to unlock the screen door, and then the same latch holds it closed here. From standing on the outside of the coach, we can operate our Girard awnings with this remote control. We showed you inside, when you choose a channel that's 0, it's both awnings opening or closing at the same time when we press out. The upper corner LED light can be turned on or off. We can stop the awnings at any time. We can change the channel to channel 2 and run in separately from the front, which is number 1, or turn the light on in the rear. The awning automatically stops when it's all the way closed. We go back to the front one as number 1. We can press out to extend it all the way. And each one of these patio awnings has a sensor that's built in. So if it gets windy outside and the awning starts to move too much or shake, it will automatically retract. So to store the awning, we just go to channel 1, which is the front, and we hit in. We can turn the light off, switch channels, and turn the rear lights off. So you'll see the awning stop automatically. Newmar supplies these two tools to make adjustments to the amount that the awning opens or closes with this one. And in an emergency situation, this tool can be inserted at the top center of either awning and rotated to retract the awning if there was a power failure or a motor failure. So these are important tools to remember to use if you need them. Just behind the front wheel, we have our side marker light, docking light, and our fuel fill door. Twist to open, and then clockwise to close. This is your diesel fuel tank. It goes to the same location, the same tank, whether you're on the driver or passenger side. In our first compartment going back is our basement freezer.
All right, moving on to the compartments. Here in the first compartment, we have your exterior hermetic refrigerator freezer. This is able to be operated on 120 volts or 12 volt. Control panel is here, the power button is here. You can then use your control panel to adjust the temperature settings and to your liking, whether you want this to be a refrigerator or a freezer. This is Wi-Fi compatible. You can also scan the code and get the app to connect that to your phone as well. If it's not in use, you want to power it off and you want to clean it out. Make sure that it's dry so that it doesn't mildew inside. Next compartment back, we have a power tray operated here on the door panel. These will come out until they hit a limit switch, and they will also go back in until they hit a limit switch. So you're not able to run this through past center because the other door may or may not be open. So from the door on the opposite side, you'd be able to run it out on the other side. Next compartment back is a large storage area. Has a suicide type door. Here in your large suicide door storage area, have a few things shipped with the coach. There's these large rods here and some shorter rods. Those are emergency retract rods for the HWH slide out system, and some floor tile that matches the floor tile in your coach. And the next slide tray back, we have the bag of accessories, hoses and accessories for the central vac system. And on the Freightliner coaches, we have the airline that's supplied with the chassis. Close this set of doors, make sure that the left one is closed first before closing the one on the right. Above the large compartment doors, you have your outside entertainment center. We have another Samsung TV. This is on an arm that allows you to move and adjust the TV for the best viewing position for you. There's also a Bose speaker underneath that you can have it play whatever's on the TV, or you can Bluetooth to it, play your favorite music while you're sitting outside, whatever you would like. You have the outlets here, 120 volt outlets. You have a 120 volt outlet with USB and USB-C chargers in there as well. And this can be closed, latched, and there's a key provided with the coach keys on it to lock that. Up above the window, we have the side view camera for the 360-degree view on the coach, or from the camera selection, you can use that camera individually and just see the side view. Security light and a marker light here towards the middle, and the last bay in front of the axle. Have a little more storage space here. Behind this panel would be your tanks. In behind this main cover here is your KIB ATC lighting controls and the contact relays and stuff for several of the shades in the coach. There's a few up here as well on the roof. And then you have your FDH-DC controller here for your video going to the Excite radio. And this is also where your SD card is located that records your trips and or your events that you want to manually record. Here you have your slide out controller and another 120 volt outlet above it. This plug right here is plugged in. There's a sticker on it that says do not remove or do not unplug, and it's strapped in place. That is the AC sense for your ATC KIB control system. That's where it senses that you're plugged into electricity. So if you unplug that, it won't think you have electricity being supplied to the coach. Behind the rear axle, we have the docking light, and then the next compartment back, another storage area. The next compartment back behind that, you have your chassis batteries here on the top left, and your chassis battery disconnect switch right here. Simply rotate that to turn it off, or turn it this way to turn it back on. There are some fuses back here in this black box right here. There's a couple of tabs there on the side that can be released, that can be pulled out. There's a legend inside of it to tell you what they go to. Those are chassis supplied fuses, and they would also do your rear toe plug area back there. In addition to the batteries here in this compartment, there is a legend label up there on the side that shows you how the terminals are hooked up on that. And then we have a 7.5 amp fuse here for your small solar panel going to the chassis battery. The exhaust system is underneath there, and that does get very warm. The coach has been in operation. Something to keep in mind. To access the rear engine compartment, just push in slightly and pull down here, that latch. This will allow you into this area. Here you have your Oasis fluid, and this is where you would check the fluid and add if you need to. This cap just screws off. There's hot and cold lines there. This acts as a overflow bottle, so as it heats up, it has a place to go, and as it cools down, it sucks it back in. You just want to make sure that that stays in between the hot and cold lines. It does take Century antifreeze. That's available through our Newmar parts website. Transmission oil dipstick and fill tube, engine oil dipstick, engine oil fill. This would be your power steering fluid reservoir, and it has a cap here. It can be removed to fill it as well, and there is lines here on it for max hot and the minimum cold settings. This would be your fuel filter and water separator for the engine, and this is another fuel filter for the engine as well. This gauge here is a filter reminder, and it basically shows the condition of this filter here for your engine. It will go up into the red area when it needs to be replaced. As long as it's down here somewhere in the green area, it's okay. This is the reservoir and fill for the engine antifreeze. There is a sticker here that tells you what kind of antifreeze is compatible with this engine, so don't mix anything with it other than what it tells you there. This cover here can be accessed here to get to the engine block heater. This is where the engine block heater can be plugged in here to this outlet, and it can be, this door can be closed over the top of it, and then that can be turned on and off from inside the coach from the engine block heater switch. Down underneath here we have the plug for your trailer or towing vehicle light and brake connections, and then we also have this air fitting here if you have like an Air Force One system. You have your trailer hitch. There's also hanging back here a loop that you can pull to release air from the tank, purge the tank. You want to do that frequently to make sure there's no water in the air tank for the chassis. Located above the rear engine compartment, we have the rear camera for the 360-degree camera or the rear backup, and the third brake light. On the sides here, you have a combination brake light, turn signal, and reverse light, all housed into one on each side. Right above the left side here, you have the air intake for the engine air. And make sure that that doesn't get covered or plugged for any reason. Moving around the side here, have the rear radiator grill. This is for engine cooling and the condenser for the air conditioner. This needs to be kept clean and free of dirt, debris, and mud. It can be washed with a hose periodically to keep it clean. In front of that, we have the DEF bottle for the diesel exhaust fluid. Turn it there and take it off. Fill it up and then you can put the cap back on. In front of that, we have a docking light for this side. You have an exhaust pipe here. And just want to keep in mind that anytime you have your hose or your sewer hose running by that you have it away from that so that the hot exhaust from that doesn't melt your sewer hose or your water hose. In the water compartment here, you can manually pull this hose out, connect it to your city water or your potable water source, and once that's connected, you can tuck it into that hatch there. Above it, you have your water filter. It has a locking tab on it. This locking tab can be removed. The canister can be twisted off. There's a wrench on the inside. If it's tightened pretty tight like it is right now, you'll need that wrench to loosen it and take it off. Once you take it off, you can take the filter and remove the plastic from it. There's a tab at the bottom that this fits into and seals. There's also one at the top, so you just put that back in there, tighten it back up, and put your locking tab back on it there so that it doesn't get taken off or opened intermittently. This coach has a macerator system on it, and it allows you to dump the tanks. You can open this port here. You can put this hose down through this port and still be able to close the door. If you're at a campsite where you want to close the door but leave this out, you can do that. It also has a option of dumping with a 4-inch hose manually here and not using the macerator. We'll talk about both of these. So if you're going to use the macerator, you would take this cap off here, run it to your sanitary drain. There are valves here on each side. On this particular coach, this is the black valve and this is the gray valve. we recommend that you dump your black tank first, and then you dump your gray tank to help flush out the nastier water in your hoses, whether you're using the macerator or your 4-inch dump. If you're using the macerator, there you have this valve here. This turns the valve on, or opens the valve to this hose. So if you are going to use it, you need to pull this open, and that allows the effluent to come out of this hose. You want to do that first, then open your black valve here, okay, and then you would turn on your RV Sanacon system. That would pump the fluid out of this hose. Once that was empty, you would close your black valve and open your gray valve right here, and have the Sanacon on when you're doing that. Once you're done using the Sanacon, you can turn it off, close the gray valve. One thing to keep in mind, if you are going to use your black or gray tank rinse, which we recommend, you would remove these and you would connect a water hose to these. You would flush that while you had this black tank gate valve open, or if you were on the gray tank one, you would do it while the gray tank one was open. So once you're done with dumping your tanks and rinsing them, you turn your RV Sanacon off. You would close this valve to your macerator hose. You would put your cap back on your macerator hose here, and you would pull this hose back up in here and store it. Put your plug back on here, cap back on here. Port there. Okay. I'm not going to store this just quite yet because I got some other things to look at in there. But if we were going to use this 4-inch hose without the macerator, we would leave this valve closed. We would take this cap right here off and attach our 4-inch hose, run it to our sanitary sewer. We would open our black valve here, and then we would open this valve here, which is the 4-inch drain for this. So we would open that up like that. We would completely drain our black tank, use our black rinse, flush it out. Once we were done, we'd close that. Then we would go ahead and open our gray valve here. Let that wash out what's in the 4-inch hose. And then we'd hook up to our gray rinse that out as well. Once we were done with that, we would go ahead and close the gray valve. And then before we disconnect this hose here, we would close this valve. We would then take our hose and empty everything out of it into the sanitary drain, put our cap back on here like it is now for travel, and we would be done using the drain system. Now, let's switch gears here for a second and talk about freshwater. So we connected our freshwater here, and we have a valve here that has 3 different positions. This position here is a manual tank fill. If we put it in this position, the water will run in there, run through the filter, and fill our fresh tank. It will not automatically stop filling our fresh tank. We have to manually take it out of filling our fresh tank. Eventually, if you leave it on there long enough, it will fill the tank and it will start to come out the overflow. So at that point, if you were still connected to city water, you'd want to put it into either city supply or city supply and auto tank fill. Doesn't matter, either one will provide water from the hose through the filter and into the coach for use from the pressurized water source. If you have it in this position, you cannot do the tank fill from your screens on your user interface panels, whether it be from this one or the one inside or the 5-inch screens. Any of them, if you go to the screen showing tanks, you'll have a button for water pump, autofill, and top off. So if you put it in autofill or top off with the valve in this position, it won't work. But if you have it in this position, it will supply city water to all your faucets. And like when you get ready to leave, you can hit autofill or top off and it will fill your tank or keep your tank full depending on how full your tank is at the time. It'll let it get to about approximately 50% before it kicks in the autofill if you have the autofill selected. Or if you select the top off, it doesn't matter at what level the tank is, it's going to top it off to 95% full. Okay, so let's say that you are going to winterize the system. You have hot and cold low point drains here. Obviously, you would disconnect this hose and you would wind this hose up, which is done by the switch here on the side of the hose reel. And you would want to use pressurized air, if you had it, to blow this hose out so that it didn't freeze. We recommend that you blow air through the system. Operate all your valves, your toilets, your washing machine, dishwasher, anything that the coach is equipped with that uses water, refrigerator and everything. Get as much water as you can out before you run RV antifreeze through it. But then when you go to run the RV antifreeze through it, you'd be using this hose here. You'd take this cap off the end. You would follow the directions right here on the AB valves. You'd be opening this valve by turning it a quarter turn and turning this valve off. What that does is it keeps the pump from sucking water out of the fresh tank, and it causes it to suck RV antifreeze. That you put this down into a bottle, it causes it to suck it from there instead of the tank. So you would turn this on, you would turn your pump on, you would run your water at all the faucets, outside, inside, and each appliance that uses water. You would get this pink color antifreeze out of each faucet and run enough in at each location to winterize the P-trap at each sink or tub, shower, or the washing machine. You would run washing machine, dishwasher, so it fills up, and then you would run it through a rinse and drain so that it pushes that RV antifreeze through all the pumps and drains on the washing machine and dishwasher. When you were done, you would turn the valves back into the opposite position. You'd turn this one off and that one back on after turning the pump off. And you would also go back here to the low point drain. There's a sticker back here, and it's hard to see. Right back in there, you'll see a sticker that says low point drain, and right behind it, there's a valve. Right now, it's in the closed position. You would pull the lever down to open it up and drain water out of the fresh tank. You would typically just leave that open so that no water can build up in that tank the whole time your coach is in the winterized position. You can store that hose up there, and I think I've covered everything in this area except for the low point drains here. These are the low point drains for the gray and black tank rinses. And so if you were going to winterize, or if you were going to disconnect these hoses after having pressure to them, you can open these, and that would drain off the pressure if there was any pressure in here before you disconnected the hose. It would also, if you open them up, it would also allow water to drain out if it was in those lines as well. The water hose here, you'd want to take it and put your cap back on so no contaminants or debris get in your water hose while it's being stored. The tank monitor panel here goes dead after it sets for a little bit. Just touch it to wake it up. You can do limited functions on this particular panel. You can view your tanks, view your tank levels, turn on your water pump, do your autofill or top off. You can also look at your power screen here. Your power screen on this touchpad allows you to manually start or stop your generator. And it also gives you the voltages and or percentages of battery charge on this screen. There's also an exterior icon. You can also hit that exterior button. It allows you to turn on the driver and passenger security lights, and then it also has a tilt feature here, and you can hit start or stop on that. What this tilt feature will do is it uses the air leveling system to tilt your coach so that the water will drain out better from your gray or black tanks. So you can use that feature when you're dumping, especially if you're at a dump station and it's not quite level, or it's off level the opposite direction from where the tank dump is. You can use that tilt feature to get a little more angle for better drainage. The next compartment forward from there, you have your Oasis hydronic heating system, your cord reel, and the central vac system. So here on your Oasis system, you have your main power button. This power has to be turned on for the system to be operational. You can't turn it on and off from inside the touch panel inside the coach unless it's powered on here. The labels here will tell you what's going on with the coach. If you have AC power available for heat, if your compressor or fuel pump combustion fan is on, and then the lower ones here are faults. If there's a fault with low water, low voltage, or flame out, those LEDs will come on red. If you had a low water condition or a low voltage condition, you could correct the issue and then come over here and reset the system, and that would allow the system to reset. If the condition has been fixed, it will resume normal operation. There is a window here so you can see the flame if it's burning. The hour meter on the top here so you can keep track of how many hours that the system has been operating. It helps you with maintenance schedules, and there's also a yearly service required for the Oasis system. And then you have another Oasis panel up here. It's a silver box. It has several green lights on it. Those green lights mean that it's operational. Those zones are good, they're operational. If they're red, that means there's an issue. There is some fuses in behind here that can be replaced. If you have red lights, you can try that first before seeking service. Up above here, you have your 120 volt outlet that goes to your central vac system. So if it's not working, check to see if it's plugged in there. Here you have your outside cable connection. Once again, if you have part cable, you can run your cable here. You can attach it to that. Reminder, you have to have your Razor antenna booster turned off for the signal to go through to your TVs. Here at your cord rail, it's kind of like your hose reel. It's manual operation to pull it out. You can tuck it here into the notch so that the door can be closed. When you go to retract it, you simply pull it out of there, and then here on the door is a switch that will retract the power cord. Behind the power cord is the transfer switch. There's a couple of LED indicators on it that give you some voltage status indicators. But we install this RV power monitor, which you can tell a whole lot more information on the transfer switch and the power coming in versus those LEDs back there. So this will actually tell you what you're plugged into, what the voltage is, what the amperage is going through the system, and it will also tell you if there's a fault, and there's a couple of buttons there so that you can go through the menu and see what's going on. The central vac system above it has a hatch here where you can connect the hose into it and use your attachments out here. It has a manual on-off switch here, as well as if you are using the hose, you can turn it on and off via the button on the hose itself. There is this is also the access here to pull this off to get into the bag. So right there is the bag for the dust and dirt. So when you go to put it back on, you get your bag. There's another port back there in the back. You make sure that it's lined up on there and that this filter here is clean. And you come in here and pull this bag up against this fitting on this side, and then you push it in there until it's in the latch position, and then you can turn it on and off with this switch there. Here in the next compartment forward, we have a storage tray. This one here is a manually operated storage tray, so you can just lift the handle here and pull it out. When you're finished, push it back in until it closes and latches. The next tray forward, we have the inverter. Inverters, and kind of a combination bay here. It's open on the inside to both these doors, but this one here has the fans to exhaust the heat from the inverters out the door, and down here at the bottom you'll feel it blowing out down here underneath. These inverters do have some LEDs and some switches on them. They're kind of hard to see on that one. I'll see if we can see them on this one here from the other door. On each inverter you have an on, off, and charge only switch. So for these to work with the panel in the front overhead, they need to be turned to the on position. Once they're on the on position and that panel is hooked up in the front overhead, they can be turned on or off from there. If you're in storage where you're going to have your battery disconnect turned off and that panel is going to be dead, you can place these all the way back into the charge only section. It will allow them to still charge the batteries if you're plugged in, but will not allow them to invert in the case of a power failure. Bay in front of that, you have your lithium battery system, and depending on what package you got will vary if you have one bit large battery or a large battery and a large and small battery. Up in the left hand corner at the top is the BMS system, the battery management system. We told you about the blue button in the overhead cabinet. That also has a blue button on it. In the event the one in the overhead cabinet wouldn't work, it could be turned on and off from the button on that as well. Have a bunch of fuses and battery connections back here on the back wall. Those are really nothing that you should need to mess with. And then there is a wiring diagram here for the batteries posted here on the side. In addition, there is a area here for storage of a 4-inch sewer hose if you wanted to use a 4-inch sewer hose to manually hook up to dump your sewer rather than the macerator hose. You have another docking light, another fuel fill. This goes into the exact same tank as it does on the other side. You can just fill it from either side of the coach. A marker light. And one thing we haven't talked about yet is slide outs. Newmar recommends on all their slide outs that once you get to your camping destination, while your coach is still aired up and on ride height, that you pop out real quick, just check your reveals to make sure that the gaps in here look similar and nothing got candywampus while it was in travel. And once you do that, you can go back in and operate the slide outs to extend them. We ask you to do that on airbags and then lower your leveling jacks after you have your slide rooms in the extended position. The reason for that is everything was built going down the line, squared up, and all the gaps set while it was aired up on airbags versus being on jacks. The last compartment here on the driver's side of the coach is an electrical compartment. As we started off with, there is the hood latch right there. These fuses here on this panel are all labeled right by the fuses on what they go to. There is a fuse holder here as well. Has a little 5-amp fuse in it, can be accessed there. The Freightliner ECM, and these are the Freightliner fuse boxes here. These can be removed. There's ledgers on the back side of them. So on the back side, it tells you what the fuses and relays go to, and they can be removed and replaced as well if they're blown. There is, once again, an exception right here on these two green ones at the bottom. They are resettable, so if they trip, they can be manually reset out here. If they continue to trip, you would need to see what's wrong with those. And I believe those two are for the driver and passenger seat. Once you're done in there, you can close that back up. There's another one at the bottom here. It can be removed, and once again, the ledger's there for that one also. There are extra fuses here in this compartment, both for the Newmar fuse panel here, which uses the ATC type fuses, and there's some extra fuses here for the mini fuses, which the Freightliner panels use there. You're finished on the compartment, you shut the door. Make sure that all the doors are shut, latched, and locked before travel. I believe this concludes the video today on the new Aire 3543.